The first 120 days. The crisis is here. Donald Trump is, by design, the most corrupt, criminal, deceptive, destructive, fraudulent, ignorant, self-serving, thuggish, treasonous, treacherous, vile, vindictive, and, for those who frame the culture wars in biblical terms, satanic bitch of a bully ever to stain the office of President of the United States. And because of the immoral, inhumane, and illegal nature of nearly everything he's done or tried to do since the first time he turned a civil servant's White House into a reality television dictator's outhouse, we the people do not owe him one drop of allegiance. We don't owe him a drop of respect, no benefit of the doubt, and no more vibe shift. Unless it's to shift the vibe into reverse, rip out the gear stick, and ram it up his ass. Maybe that's why American girls are hoarding all those pencils. So let's take a look at what Trump and his administration of abominable ass-kissers have done for us in their first 120 days. Betrayed and humiliated all our loyal, long-standing allies, creating international panic and forcing power realignments that will leave the United States isolated from and reviled by democracies everywhere. Praised and pandered to most of our long-standing enemies, the enemies of human rights, of free and open societies, of free speech, of free markets, of equal or even narrow opportunity, the enemies of truth, of justice, and of virtue, dictators, fat and rich on the life's blood and resources of their peoples who rule through force and terror. Men who Trump has often praised and envied, and whose acceptance he craves, giving us pretty clear view of what he has in mind. Oh, please let me be a member of the strongman club. I'm tough. I'm so tough. Betrayed our own civil servants, our military veterans, and our senior citizens by recklessly and ruthlessly cutting, or trying to cut, tens of thousands of jobs and countless financial, health, and retirement benefits. Gutted USAID, ripping vital health and safety initiatives away from underprivileged and underdeveloped peoples around the world, leaving millions of people without life-saving assistance, and causing an estimated 103 deaths per hour, adding up to 93,371 adult deaths and the deaths of 194,833 children so far. Now, just to put that into perspective, that's 288,204 total deaths, more than 5 times the total Palestinian death toll in Gaza since October of 2023. Lock a child in a room with no food until she dies of hunger, and it's felony child neglect. Lock the food away from tens of thousands of children until they all die, as we're doing now in the Congo, in Ethiopia, in Senegal, in South Sudan, and many other nations, and it's Doge. Beat a child to death, that's murder. Forcing sex on a person is rape, taking away protections against violence and rape for women and children, as we did in 220,000 displaced people in Yemen, and it's Doge. In a moral nation, in a decent nation, in a nation with any meaningful version of Christianity, the USAID cuts and consequences alone would be enough for the people to unite and demand stop. Give it back. Give back the healthcare protections, the food, water, shelter. Give Senegal back her malaria nets and medication. The percentage of the federal budget spent to support all these programs combined was next to nothing. The price being paid for cutting them is mass murder. Also, by abandoning the USAID initiatives, Doge has created soft power vacuums that China and other authoritarian powers have already swooped in to fill. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. They've also betrayed the founders, the framers, and we the people by violating every norm and expectation that isn't specifically, legally constrained by the Constitution. Because the framers expected, as it turns out, delusionally, that presidents would act ethically and in good faith. And by appointing activist, conservative Supreme Court justices who practice a very selective and agenda-driven originalism to turn back the clock to the 1700s and reverse every decision since then that's been made in favor of civil rights, equality, and social justice. Meanwhile, themselves defying every standing law and court order that's inconvenient to their goals. Betrayed American women in so many ways, including trying to block enlisted women from combat roles, appointing a cabinet for which one of the requirements for the men seems to be a history of sexual misconduct towards women, trying to make birth control illegal, and to block access to critical health care, including criminalizing all abortions, even when a pregnancy poses serious health threats to the woman. Crippled and repurposed our domestic security capacity, making us easier prey to domestic spies and terrorists, by first weaponizing the executive branch against the FBI in a vengeful firing massacre, and by then weaponizing the FBI itself to go after Trump's critics, funneling tremendous taxpayer dollars and critical law enforcement resources into a crybaby vendetta. Shattered our international security and left us wide open to foreign meddling after inviting foreign meddling, as you do, pushed the U.S. and world economies to the brink of a collapse that would have and may yet result in a Great Depression, and, after pulling back at the last second, continuing to toy with global financial fate by threatening to play the tariff card again, whenever Trump wants, whenever he feels like it. In the meantime, having scaled back the tariffs for many countries so that we're not as bad off as we would have been, but worse off than we were, he claims to have done us all a favor. Trump's Liberation Day has liberated us from stability, respect, and primacy of currency in the eyes of the world, and liberated him from any pretense that he will fulfill his promises to lower inflation and strengthen the economy. Assured his base and frequently reminded the rest of us that he doesn't intend to give up the presidency after his second term, or ever. Working transparently to centralize power and to nullify checks and balances to fulfill this anti-American scheme. Put an unelected and unqualified swindler, who owes his current status as the richest man in the world to $18 billion in U.S. government contracts he got when he wasn't doing so well, put him in a position to manage the agencies that regulate his own companies, with the power to hire and fire folks at the agencies that subsidize his own companies, enabling Musk to direct money and shape government policy towards his own companies, which have been found in violation of many regulations. So now he gets to write his own get-out-of-jail-free card and pay himself for the privilege, avoiding $2.4 billion in legal liability. Musk has played Russian roulette with our entire governmental infrastructure, deliberately traumatizing tens of thousands of civil servants who could have been making more money in the private sector, but who sacrificed instead to solve problems for their fellow Americans. Flooded the Capitol with corruption so brazen and stupendous that your brain corrodes just thinking about it. Created World Liberty Financial, a cryptocurrency company, into which people directly interested in escaping a regulation, evading a lawsuit or a federal indictment, or just in winning influence with Trump and his family might be attracted to invest. Broke the constitutional emoluments clause, which says no U.S. president is supposed to benefit in any way from relationships with foreign nations. Boasted he'd ignore the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which forbids U.S. entities from bribing companies abroad, and the Corporate Transparency Act, meant to force owners of shell companies and anonymous properties to register their names so that if some Russian crook bought an apartment in a Trump building for the purpose of laundering money, hypothetically, we'd know their real identity. And too many other careless and reprehensible acts to cover without going on for days. So what do we, the people, owe a president who, as he was swearing the oath to protect the Constitution, was already plotting to destroy it? What could we possibly owe to this coalition of robber barons, white supremacists, so-called Christian nationalists, and Trump, with his insatiable appetite for attention, praise, tribute, and revenge, and his concern for nothing and nobody but himself. Resistance? Sure, we owe that to ourselves. But we owe Trump and his triad of traitors far more than resistance. We owe them eradication. Total and decisive eradication. Now, let me state for the record, before my doors get blown off and the SWAT team thunders in, I'm not talking about killing them. I'm not suggesting that anybody kill Trump or his cosplay cabinet, even though the entire world would be much safer, saner, healthier, wealthier, more stable, and productive if they'd all just drop dead right now. But please, even if you're a retired veteran who, after all your loyal and selfless service to our nation, has been robbed of your income and benefits, maybe even your home, by their greed, and you're left with nothing, and so have nothing to lose, while your conscience has everything to gain if you gave your own life to take one or more of theirs, please don't kill them. Please don't take that road, because it leads to civil war. So when I say we owe them eradication, I don't mean death. I mean consignment to the dung heap of history. Dung heap, in case you're listening, Uncle Dumpy, is elite speak for shit stack. We need to rise up together with one unwavering voice and say, this will not stand. We won't honor orders maliciously issued by a felon and serial lawbreaker. Trump has no legitimate legal authority because he's shown no respect for the law himself. He's a crook. Trump is a grifter, a liar, and a crook who's done more to cripple the force of law than anyone else in memory. By what perverse alchemy do the orders vomited from the mind of a serial lawbreaker become acceptable as law? No. We owe them disobedience. We owe them obstruction. We owe them defiance. We won't obey. We won't capitulate. We won't cooperate. We won't stand quietly by or turn a blind eye to their crimes against humanity. We won't honor any of their cruel, callous, undemocratic demands. None of their changes will stand. We will tear them down, executive order by executive order, appointment by appointment, alliance by alliance, originalist opinion by opinion, shackle by shackle, and bulldoze them into a mass grave of infamy over which we will hold vigil for as long as humankind exists, that they never again creep up into the light of day. We have to shake off this Trump parasite, reverse his backward course, and march forward together in collaboration with all our diverse communities into an era of fulfillment wherein we legislate and ratify into fruition the noblest, most aspirational intentions of the Constitution until we finally, and for the first time in our history, do live in a land of equal life, liberty, justice, and civic virtue so fully that it becomes self-evident to everybody. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overstating the damage and threat of Trump. Maybe I've got Trump derangement syndrome. Just because a guy gets rid of the Office of Government Ethics, that doesn't prove he's going to do unethical things. Just because a guy illegally fires the independent inspectors general appointed to safeguard taxpayer money and to root out fraud, waste, and mismanagement, and replaces them with incompetent loyalists, that doesn't prove he plans to perpetrate fraud and mismanagement on the people. Just because the Supreme Commander fires all the JAGs, giving new meaning to the term jagoff, doesn't prove that he wants to commit war crimes. And just because a brazen brat with a hit list of Trump's opponents is now head of the FBI doesn't prove the guy plans to politicize and weaponize law enforcement. And just because Musk, Trump's own Dr. Evil, and that antichrist cult we call Christian nationalism have launched a coordinated campaign against empathy. Against empathy doesn't prove they're ramping up to commit atrocities. Just cause. Just saying. All you got to do is tally up Trump's consistent erasure to date of every check and balance against his corrupt and creepy maneuvers, and you'll find yourself wondering, what unspeakable horrors is he preparing to unleash? And let's please stop asking, if we've crossed the line into a constitutional crisis. There's no bright line that defines when our Constitution is in crisis. It's a process, and that process is well underway. The Constitution has been in crisis since Trump lied about the 2020 election results and launched the insurrection upon the Capitol, proving that he'd rather watch our nation burn to the ground than suffer a blow to his fragile ego or concede defeat. Asking if we're in a constitutional crisis yet under this administration, it's like lying at the bottom of a grave and asking, with every spadeful of dirt that lands in our faces, if we're buried yet. This is it. Full-blown. Law enforcement, military, financial, legislative, constitutional, institutional, national, and international crisis. Congress can't stop them right now. The courts aren't effectively stopping them and seem to be largely on the side of the hostile takeover. Who else can we turn to end this orgy of corruption and greed? No cavalry's coming, folks. We are the cavalry. We're on our own. It is we, the people, against the great power grab. They've perpetrated a coup. We have to unleash the counter-coup. It's up to us, the people, to say and enforce no in every peaceful and possible way. And if that doesn't work, then in every other way possible. We have to stop them. They're attacking, we're under siege. When masked agents storm into our schools, our churches, and our businesses to kidnap, detain, and export non-citizens without a shred of due process to hellish foreign prisons to serve life sentences, we are under siege. And when the president says he needs to build more and bigger prisons so he can do the same to homegrowns, meaning citizens, we are under siege. And we need to make sure that the next hellhole prison is built to incarcerate him. We need to say no. We need to say no with our daily demands to our representatives on the phone, through email. We need to say no in our churches, our schools, our businesses, and in our streets. When they come for any one of us, we need to say no with our combined voices. We need to say no with our bodies. And if they persist, then we need to perform citizens' arrests on these state-sponsored terrorist agents. We are now in that moment when we, the people, must hold the line between what is moral and humane versus what is merely commanded by rulers who will not and cannot govern. We can't stop a resistance. This is a battle on all fronts for the soul and future viability of our United States of America, and we, the people, must prevail. So don't let your hearts grow weary. Don't let fear overwhelm you. Be sure to take care of yourselves. Make self-care part of your activism. And remember, there are so many more of us than there are of them. I personally won't let them touch a single vulnerable person within my reach. I'm not one. And there are many like me. We're multitudes. 60+% of us are not about to be bullied onto our knees by their 30%. Never surrender to their dark demands. Never normalize Trump. Never obey. Never capitulate. Winston Churchill said of Adolf Hitler, "You cannot reason with a tiger when your head is in his mouth." And I say of Trump, "You cannot appease a black hole while it is devouring your entire world." We cannot allow him, them, I don't know what the pronoun is for a wannabe dictator and the posse of power-grabbing stooges stuck to his ass like remoras on a shark. But we can't allow them to erase public programs, protections, and institutions while they offer nothing of value to replace them. Trump doesn't have a constructive plan in that puffy orange head. Remember how desperately he tried to get rid of Obamacare? He kept saying, I'm going to replace it with something so much better, so great, so beautiful, and nobody will believe it. And fortunately, nobody did believe it. Because when they were asked to put their health care cards on the table, all they had was a pair of jokers and 3 turds that landed with the sound of a royal flush. They had nothing. All the dingbats horses and all the dingbats men couldn't piece together a plausible replacement for Obamacare. Well, this time they don't even pretend to have something better to offer. They're just ripping away safety nets and wiping their asses with the social contract of representative governance. They're just moving fast and breaking our democratic republic. Trump, we won't let you drag us back in time to medieval, patriarchal, fake Christian death cult theocracy. We won't let you make baby purses out of our mothers, sisters, and daughters, or even prevent one of them from having the abortion for which they feel the need. We won't let you snoop around in their medical tracking apps. We won't let your masked terrorists snatch our neighbors from among us. And when they try, we will surround, disarm, and detain them. We will never stop caring for the most vulnerable and least privileged among us. We will never stop teaching and practicing those things that we know to be true. We will not exchange facts and science and conscience for Stone Age fairy tales and medieval sensibilities. We will not trade education for indoctrination. We will not suffer you nor your minions to harass, humiliate, or medically endanger even one of our LGBTQ+ communities. No, we won't. Your entire administration and all your so-called achievements put together aren't worth a hair on one of their heads. To paraphrase a great speech maker, we will fight you through our representatives. We will fight you with civil disobedience. We will fight you in the media. We will fight you in the courts. We will fight you with satire until your thin skin is everywhere broken. We will fight you in the streets. We will fight you with protests and boycotts and sabotage. We will fight you, come to that, with an industry-wide, nationwide strike and shut the whole damn thing completely down. We will fight you till our last breath. We will never surrender. And you won't get away with the evil you've already done. No, we the people won't let you. You will pay for the humiliation of our allies, for abandoning the Ukrainian people, sacrificing their lives for democratic self-sovereignty against foul Russia's imperial invasion, for emptying our government coffers, for plunging us into chaos and trauma, and for turning our nation, which was, before January 20th, 2024, the envy of the world, and is now, 120 days later, a tragedy unraveling before the world's eyes. You'll pay for contaminating the White House with your meme, coin, and crypto graft. You will pay for corrupting our intelligence and law enforcement agencies. You will pay for every dent of destruction, every crumb of cruelty, and each chord of chaos. You boast that you're a king. Well, I got news for you. And it's old news, but it ain't fake. It's verified. And very bad for you. Real Americans don't serve kings. We don't, we won't, and that's that. That's kind of the whole point of America, or didn't you get that far in U.S. history or civics? Let me break it down for you in McNugget-sized bites. Democracies elect representatives to govern, to serve the people for a limited period of time. Monarchies inherit kings, pretend that God appointed them to rule over the people, and their reign doesn't end until the king or queen dies. Although, maybe this royal remedy is the way to go, because if you are a king, then you're not a president. So let's get you coronated, and we can send you off to reign in hell and elect an actual president, somebody who wants to govern and is capable of doing so. This is one of the many damning contradictions in the character of the MAGA base. The original Tea Party was a resistance protest against a king and his taxation without representation. The new so-called Tea Party has launched a compliance movement to elect a king and seems utterly unconcerned that their little lord hasn't kept his promises about economic prosperity, peace, or jobs, and that he doesn't give a damn about representing anybody in any way unless they're kissing his ass in a big way and all the time. I guess the T in the new party is just the letter T and stands for turncoat. Way to betray American heritage, right down to the core. It'd be better for almost everybody, Trump, including you, if you and your administration would turn themselves in and were arrested and detained right now. That way, we could get an accurate accounting of your crimes and other violations without being distracted by their dizzying and endless accumulation in real time. And then we could make you settle the account. But for the moment, we hold our breath. We'll wait until enough of those single-issue voters who aren't part of your personality cult get disillusioned with your lies, greed, cruelty, and boundless ignorance. They'll wake up and realize that what they thought was only going to happen to the undocumented and your critics, you will also do to them when they become inconvenient. Some of them are waking up already, and boy, are they falling away from you. Your ratings are plunging faster than Tesla stock. So sad. Soon we'll have the numbers and the momentum to call you to account. And don't think, when push comes to shove, that you can rely upon our local law enforcement or our National Guard to restrain us or do us harm. Those aren't your brothers and sisters and sons and daughters putting their lives on the line in the service of their country. Bone spur boy. They're ours. Our people. Do you really imagine that our families, our neighbors, and our fellow citizens are going to do the dirty work of a would-be king in defiance of the Constitution, conscience, and human dignity? And we're not some little hemmed-in country like 1930s Germany or 2025 Hungary, Zimbabwe, or North Korea. We are a vast nation with a strong anti-authoritarian streak. And Team America, Team Constitution, Team Smart, and Team Hell No outnumber you and yours more than 2-1. We will never surrender, and you'll never prevail. I see a big, beautiful class action lawsuit in the near future, for starters. We the People versus Donald J. Trump, Felon Puss, Pee-wee German, Pickled Pig's Breath, Toss Me Cabbage, Misty Gravel Pit Dome, Steve Fecal Flood Bannon, and all the other reprobates. And when they are found guilty of defrauding, debasing, defunding the nation, and leaving it defenseless and dispirited, all their wealth, the little that Trump had before and the vast sums he's pilfered since through his position, and the lot that Musk had before and the somewhat smaller amount he has now that he's become everybody's favorite bitch to boycott, and that of the entire cohort, every asset, every investment, and every business will be liquidated and distributed back to we the people. And then we'll send you on a worldwide tour to apologize to our loyal and long-standing allies, the allies of the order, and to sincerely thank them for their service and sacrifice, to grovel on your knees before the Ukrainian people, putting their lives on the line and serving as a human shield between free Europe and Voldemort Putrid, to humbly thank them for their courage and sacrifice and to beg forgiveness for calling their president a dictator and for acting as Putrid's proxy against them. Have you even once in all this time said thank you to the people who stood between freedom and the spread of communism for 45 years? Show some appreciation. And after you've made amends to each and every one of them, you can all go live in exile on some remote charcoal island that Musk probably already owns and is accidentally hit with tariffs. You can melt your meme coins down and forge a crown out of them, and they can parade you around to the braying of donkeys and the laughter of hyenas. The audience you truly deserve, an audience of your peers.